In search of Africa turtle, tortoise, and terrapin. I say terrapin, usually they say turtle and tortoise. Terrapin is all the freshwater turtle. Usually all the Chelonidae are split on three big groups. Sea turtle who live in the ocean, tortoise who live in the land, and freshwater turtle who live in the freshwater terrestrial environment. One of the example is this kind of soft shell in these pictures, who are the Senegal flapshell turtle. Okay, I wanted, just before I start my talk, to dedicate this talk in memoriam to Dr. Peter Charles Howard Pritchard, who are one of my mentor who passed away last February after long battle with a disease. And he was born in June 26, 1943 in Belfast in Northern Ireland. And he was really inspiration for me. This is a person who inspired me for doing conservation, because I have to agree, in the beginning, I was only interested about the animals, and conservation wasn't in the pictures. By meeting these people and other people I consider as a mentor, this is where my dedication for conservation, my commitment for conservation started. So I just wanted to give the memoriam for him. Thank you so much, Peter, for what you have done for me. And I hope you are in the place where you can always watch us and inspire us. This is the talk overview. The birth of a patient in 1985. I was born in Dakar in 1970, September 11, 1970. And I have to say, as far as I can remember, I always have turtle around me. And the second part is going to be natural history and fact. What are a turtle? And after that, we are going to speak about what I started in 1992 to 2001, where I created where I co-founded the captive breeding center named Village des Tortues with a French biologist named Bernard Deveau. And after that, reintroducing sulcata tortoise back in their native region in northwestern Senegal. And in 2001 to 2009, survey I conducted in Benin, most of the country of West Africa, Benin, Senegal, Mali, Togo, Guinea-Bissau, DRC, and Cote d'Ivoire. And the data collection I was doing over there, and human conception, local belief about turtle and tortoise in the sub-region. And I have to say, this work is ongoing. I am still doing survey in different countries, and in West and Central Africa mainly. And starting in 2009, and launched the idea of the African Chelonian Institute to be a leading center to promote turtle conservation. And a leading center to promote turtle conservation through research, conservation, and public outreach for all African turtle species. Let's talk about my mentor now. You have here in this picture here, oops. This is Peter Pritchard. In 1996, I was really young and skinny, and we meet in Senegal first, and after that, in different places worldwide. Particularly, this photo was taken in southern France, where they have a program to conserve the Hermann tortoise. Here you have Dr. Anders Rodin, who are a surgeon, orthopedic surgeon based here in US, and he's a former chair of the ICN freshwater turtle and tortoise specialist group. He was really so supportive and inspirational to me. And in the bottom here, I am holding a turtle, freshwater turtle with Bernard Devaux. Bernard Devaux was the first person who introduced me to the concept of conservation of turtle and tortoise. In this place here, you can see Baba Jum. Baba Jum is a Senegalese engineer, forestry engineer, who are really active in the conservation, was chairing different entity in the IUCN, chairing different entity in the IUCN conservation group, like the Protected Area Commission. And Baba Jum was the first person who told me how education, who make me understand really how education is important for conservation. In that moment, I was thinking education is something we should do, but I didn't understand reality, the impact of education for conservation. Where we work is particularly in West and Central Africa. All these different countries highlighted, country where we are doing field work. We are trying to build the network because we want to be strategic. We always want to promote grassroots, local grassroots, where we are working in order to protect in the long term the animals. People who are native to this area can take lead of their conservation effort. And this is the way we can see strategically the way to operate. And also, this map is more funny, is not about where we work, but it's about Africa. Usually here in the US, people think Africa is a country. Africa is not a country, it's a continent. A continent where you can can see United States inside, you can see Spain, France, Germany, Italy, Eastern Europe, most of India and China also, and Japan inside Africa. Africa is a huge continent, and trying to tackle with conservation for all the species on Africa is a really big task. That's why we decided to do some kind of focus area on Western Central Africa is the place where you have the least conservation effort done in the entire continent. That's why we picked them. First of all, I wanted to talk about turtle evolution. First of all, I wanted to talk about turtle evolution. And as I have to say, the picture you have here is the ancestor, the common ancestor of all the turtle, the Testudine. Doesn't look like a turtle at all. You can say maybe Thomas is something really weird. This is not a turtle, because usually turtles have a shell. But this common ancestor for all the turtle lives in South Africa in the Permian period, like 260 million years ago. His name is Onotosaurus africanus. It wasn't a turtle really, technically, was a lizard, but lizard with big and fat ribs, flat ribs, who 60 million years later are gonna evolve to be a shell. And from this shell, this is where the shell was invented, and the first turtle, like the Progonochelis, appear in our planet. These lizards have different characteristics who let the paleontologists know that was the ancestor of the turtle. The first characteristic is to have their pelvis, like their shoulder, inside their rib cage, and also to have the scapula inside the rib cage. That is one important. Scapula is like the shoulder inside the rib cage. That is so different to the other lizard in that time period, and that is some clue who can lead paleontologists to know that is the ancestor of the turtle. They think the invention of the shell was a reaction for predation, because the predator was having trouble to kill this type of lizard who can just evolve and prosper. And that is the reason, according to what they say, the paleontologists say, the reason where the shell was invented. This big lizard also had different type of behavior. We can notice he was digging big burrows, like most of the big giant turtle are doing right now. Now let's talk about my first project I was getting involved starting in 1993 with Bernard Deveau in the village, the French biologist, is to set up a breeding facility for all the endangered turtles in Senegal. This breeding facility, you are in the entrance right now here, and you can is located in Dakar, Senegal, and now we have more than 500 tortoise and turtle, freshwater turtle too. We get mostly from people who has them as pet, and when they see the animals is big and don't do well with grass, and they destroy any kind of plant in the house, they just want to get rid of them. And we tell them we want them, and we get them and put them in some kind of pens and try to figure out how to reproduce them. This is the place, Village des Tortues, 2-hour drive south of Dakar, no, 1 hour and a half drive southeast of Dakar. And the most important things we did over there is education also. Each year we have more than 10,000 scholars and people who come visit this center. That is really, in the term of impact for outreach, is really amazing. You cannot go to Dakar and ask kids, if most of the kids in the school, when you told them, do you know the Village des Tortues, they are going to say, yes, we know the Village des Tortues. That is important. And also we are doing in the Village des Tortues outreach. That is the most important component, and scientific research to know about the growth rate of the sulcata tortoise, who are the main focus turtle in this center. As you can see, we have in this center a place for tourists to buy souvenirs, to buy drinks, and all the nursery are protected by this kind of strong fence, you can see here. And the juvenile turtle can just grow without being bothered by predator. And we have a circuit, a big circuit, who are just some kind of circle who people can walk in some with tree walk, and we have an enclosure all the way around, and place also to sit and enjoy a drink, like here, or a meal too. And we try the best we can to show the future of these animals, like male and female, and people, because people think they know turtle, but they don't know turtles really well. And in order to increase the knowledge of these people, we needed this center to be attractive in the term of spreading the information. That's why we have different type of informative panels. Here you can see the small turtle nursery, when the turtles are born, the place where we put them. And this is the skeleton of tortoise. And here we can find the freshwater turtle in their habitat outside in their enclosure. We are really successful so implementing this kind of concept in order to promote turtle conservation. And research, scientific research also was not left, like you can see here, how we are taking measurement of the helmeted terrapin, and also this is a sulcata tortoise in the field next to a big baobab, and the weight of the same helmeted terrapin. And also, when you reproduce all these animals, one important thing you need to figure out is how to get them back in the wild, because our objective is conservation, is not to promote trade, like wildlife trade or something like that. So when we reproduce the turtle, one of our main goals was to put them back in the wild. And we did it successfully two times. The first one was in 2006 in this area in red. And the second one was here in 2018 in the Western Ferlo, in this area here. So you can see in the bottom my pictures releasing a group of 20 sulcata tortoises in the soft release pen in Koli Alpha Wildlife Refuge. Also, through the Ferlo region, we have spread the information here to just use this kind of ladder. In French, this is the ladder of the for the tortoise in the Ferlo. We print it in 1,000 copy and distributed widely in the region so people can know what we are doing in terms of reintroduction and why reintroduction is important for these animals to be back in their native lands. Having always trying to promote, to have a strong participation of the public, including the village around the area where we are working, is important for us and is important for the future for people to understand what we are doing and being involved also in the process, if possible. After my first project working towards saving turtle and tortoise in Senegal, I was involved quickly by going in other places, do survey throughout West Africa, because turtle are really rare. Turtle and tortoise are really rare in West Africa. Habitat loss and degradation are significant problem, especially for forest species. And nearly every species is used for food or traditional medicine. So this is me doing field survey in northern Senegal, and this is another one in the tower in central Senegal, surveying the habitat of sulcata tortoise. Okay. During my survey, I'm just giving you a sample of all the turtle freshwater turtle you can encounter in West Africa. Most of the West African turtle and tortoise species was totally overlooked by conservation effort. And when we talk about conservation effort, always people think about in Africa about megafauna. I have nothing against megafauna, but I felt really all these animals are, we don't know their status, their current status in the wild, and we needed to know more about them. I'm going to give you some sample of, because I cannot go to all the species involved in West Africa, and I sample here some of them in order to give you an overview about their status. Pelumedusa subrufa is the less threatened turtle species in Africa, is in moderate size, 200.5 centimeter, brown, olive, and carapace oval. The plastron is yellow. This is, and these turtles have no hinge in the plastron. All the freshwater turtles have hinge in their plastron except this one. And now this is a picture taken in Ghana doing survey. You see in the center, you have a small island with a turtle basking, Spelomedusa. Always when I'm doing survey, this is the kids who help me a lot, village kids who know how to find the turtle, the animal of my interest. And I wanna thank them so much for being so happy, helping me out to find the animal I like, I want to be, I want to see. This is Pelucias adansoni. Pelucias adansoni is moderate size to 22 centimeter. And this group, Pelucias adansoni belong to the group of terrapin who have hinge in their plastron. And also the plastron have a bridge are yellow, and the broad head is short with only a slightly projecting snout. So these species have a fragmented habitat all across the Sahelian habitat. Like open wetlands with not big tree. And in Senegal, we implement a wildlife refuge, the Tortoises wildlife refuge, where my friend Darren come to visit, Darren Rydell in this call. And the Tortoises Wildlife Refuge, community refuge is, you have the map here, how it's located in northwestern Senegal, is a wetland habitat where turtles are living with, like if you see in the bottom here, you have this kind of turtle are living in the same habitat than numerous migratory birds, numerous also freshwater fish who are just so important for locals who are, because really the economy is based mostly in agriculture and fishery in this area. You have numerous also native birds and also other reptiles like Nile monitor who share the same habitat. And since 2004, we implemented the concept of community-based wildlife refuge, like giving the community the opportunity to take decision about their wildlife. That is a long process who require a lot of patience, because you need to empower the community. That is not easy. You need to let the community get themselves the feeling of protecting wildlife. That is really a task who require a lot of patience and a lot of training and a lot of capacity building. But I have to say, in this case, we was pretty successful for implementing this kind of concept. Tortoise Wildlife Refuge is still running. Each year we are releasing back in the wild turtle who are raised in captivity, the same species. and is like a turtle festival, and that is so important for young kids to see these, to be used to this important conservation activity, and know this is the way to go. As you can see here, turtle are caught in the fishing net, and so many of them drown when the abandoned nets are in the lagoon in Tortoise. Here we are removing the abandoned nets in the Tortoise lagoon, and now here I was discussing with people, villager, about turtle. This is Pelucias Cupolata. Pelucias Cupolata is from Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, a really restricted range, 26 centimeter, and a large plastron, wide head, and this is the most recent described freshwater turtle species in Africa. Pelucias gabonensis, who live mostly in Central Africa and a little bit in West Africa, are just really nice turtle with a black stripe all over the vertebral, and this is a moderate size turtle too. That is the giant Nubian flapshop turtle, Cyclonodus elegans, who now is a very large soft-shell turtle. Until last year, we has not been seen in the wild for more than 30 years. The last captive specimen died in New York in 2013. I want to thank my colleague Lukwa Luzeli, who finally these species in South Sudan, and we was really so worried about this species being totally vanished from the wild. Now we know since last year this is not the case, and now we need to find a way to protect this last population known of this big giant soft-shell turtle in Africa. In ice and red list, this species jump to near threatened to the critical endangered, who are really a bad stage of conservation about this turtle. So then all the focus, conservation attention need to be drawn to that species. Now here, this is the picture of me with the last specimen. As you can see, it's a big, really big soft-shell turtle, one of the most endangered turtle species in Africa. You have Trionyx triangus, who are very, very large turtle and have 4 callosity in the plastron, and the distribution is big and go all the way to Israel. Big soft shell, who like to eat on shrimp. You can see here my colleagues, Patrick Baker holding one. Santrochelys sulcata is a large fresh tortoise this time. This is the largest tortoise in the African continent and the third in the worldwide after Galapagos tortoise and one turtle who live in Africa but in the islands. And female are flatter than male. The plastron are deep with anal notch, and they have a really big forked gular. And in Africa, particularly Senegal and Mali, this picture was taken in Mali. This turtle was, these turtles are raised in captivity in order to say that is an animal who are gonna give good luck to the family, are gonna give also people who have asthma. They say if you have this turtle in the compound, the asthmatic are not gonna be really, asthma is not gonna, they're gonna cure asthma, all these things. And also they say, if you have this turtle in your compound, you are gonna be always being prosperous and rich. And in this part, I have to disagree with a local knowledge, because I have at least more than 300 at the village de Tortue, in more than 300 individual. And I was always struggling to pay my bill at the end of the month. So then if these kind of things apply for turtle, I'm pretty sure for these turtles, I'm pretty sure I will be the richest man on the planet. But this is Kinexis belliana now who split in different other species in Africa who are moderate size turtle. Kinexis erosa, who are just living, is a forest tortoise. Kinexis means tortoise who had a hinge in their back, and they can close their back when they see danger, and their elongated carapace with flat top, and the margin are serrated. This is Kinexis omeyana, who are more critically endangered, small tortoise, 23 centimeter. And these species are really endangered right now, and we are trying the best we can to, the most critical things about this species is they don't do well in captivity. And with the pet trade, they are imported in large number in UE and in the US, where they died. And the pet trade need constantly to get more specimen from the wild, because they don't do well in captivity. They don't produce offspring who can be shared between people. So that's why the wild population are really threatened by the pet trade, and we are trying the best we can with to protect this species with different instruments like a policy, conservation program in the ground, capacity building, and also. Here is in Ghana, when we find this species in the field. This is my colleague, Patrick Baker, pictures. Turtle survey in Senegal, Benin, and Guinea-Bissau. I was fortunate to conduct also some turtle survey in this country. You have a really big island in Guinea-Bissau, where this island hosts the most important turtle, like the green sea turtle nesting population in the East Atlantic, really in the Atlantic coast of Africa. That was an amazing place, really, with more than 4,000 female nesting for at least 1 month. And in Benin, I was able to do a lot of turtle training to enhance capacity building for wildlife professionals and other people who are working in the field, not only about turtle, but who are working in the protected area, mostly the marine one. And we are rescuing also here leatherback and helping people to know how they can monitor olive ridley sea turtle in Benin. What is the main threat turtle and tortoise are facing in Africa? The main threat, I think, for me, is the bushmeat consumption. As you can see in these pictures, this is a large male sea turtle, green sea turtle. You see the appendix is a male who was certainly caught offshore and butchered here. And all these, the meat that you can get here will be consumed by local. And this is something we have in the area where we live in Senegal and in so many different places in Africa we are trying to address. Turtle collection in the field, as you can see here, pictures was taken in Benin, where people go to the field, catch the turtle with nets and all these things, and sell it near to the road, or sell it to the collector who are collecting turtle for the pet trade. You see, that is a big group of Kinexis. This is the big group of Kinexis here. Kinexis is a hingeback tortoise, African hingeback tortoise. And after collection for the pet trade, the other threats turtle are facing is traditional medicine. You can see here the picture was taken in Togo, in the traditional fetish market in Togo. You can see so many empty turtle shell. Most of them are endangered. Like as you can see, you have here Kinixis omeana. I can almost count 5 of them here, just in these small things pictures, who are critically endangered, and the traditional medicine, they are used as a traditional medicine to try to cure different things, hemorrhoid and different things. I don't know how valid is that really, but what we know for now is a huge pressure for a wide population, and the more the population grow is going to happen, the more the portion of animals we are taking each year to the wild for the purpose of traditional medicine is going to increase, and that is totally scary. And lastly, we have habitat loss. As you can see, the more and more the wild native habitat are going to be cut in order to promote agriculture or where people also can live. Here, this picture was taken in Cote d'Ivoire. Habitat loss is important. Also, in the Sahel region, mostly livestock overgrazing is a major threat. In order to address all these threats, I decided after I traveled to different countries and realized, okay, well, in my lifetime, I will not have the possibility, the energy, and the resources to address all these issues. In order to do it in the right way, I need to be strategic. I need to launch an organization who can hold that. And that's why I decided to launch the African Chilean Institute for Research, Education, and Conservation. You can see in this slide, African species who was living in the Mauritius and disappeared, Coelendraspis bourbonica, because people didn't think in the right moment about conservation. And for the 6 species who lives in an island, we only have now 1 survivor. All the 5 other species was extinct in the past century. The African Chilean Institute, this is the design of the plan of the, now we are in the temporary facility in Gazobil with the Rodin Center over there, a small center. But this is the design where is going to be built in 3 years. We wanted to start this year, but for the COVID outbreak, slow down everything. We are going to fundraise more in order to have this center set up in the next 3 years. You have here the design of the institute. Like as I told you, our mission is to build the first center dedicated to African turtle and turtle species in the continent and associated island. That will include the breeding facility for sure for freshwater turtle and tortoise. Now we will be focusing on the most endangered of them. And we are going to also, we promote a scientific collaboration, like here Nathaniel Stanek is from Fordham University, comes to Senegal to sample our collection and work in genetics. Genetics can give us also sometimes more information who can serve conservation, because how many there are, all these questions can be answered sometimes with genetics. And how many years of previous experience with captive breeding of turtle will be helping this breeding facility to move forward. Our mission also is education. Education is important part of our strategy to address all the threats facing African turtle and tortoise. One of you can see here, I am guiding a tour with Senegal young kids who are just fascinated to see. They never saw before Nile's flapshell turtle. And here I'm holding two terrapin, like black belly terrapin from the Congo. And people, when I see how important it is to teach people about turtle conservation or just turtle, they are just fascinated by this animal. You just need to have the time to talk to them about that. That is, as you can see here, information. This is one booth on the Senegal Citizen Day. And here you have our ward wearing a sea turtle costume to do outreach to promote sea turtle conservation. In the grassroots, we lead also grassroots program with turtle research in multiple countries and reintroduce them back in the wild in their natural habitat. Here I'm teaching these people like wildlife manager in different parks in coastal Benin, how to remove sea turtle nest. Capacity building here, Côte d'Ivoire, we are working with OIPER, the equivalent of US Fish and Wildlife Service in Côte d'Ivoire. Here she's leading a training workshop for sea turtle conservation. Here also that was a training workshop for sea turtle conservation. African Caledonian Institute also will be a center for student and turtle research to be a reference library for turtle specimen, fossil, and African turtle art. We already, Asia is already one of the largest African reference collection for specimen, and we wanna just comfort this situation and do more, because reference collection is important after that, particularly for genetics and morphometric study. And what also ACI is gathering a lot of African tribal art related to turtle. We have more than 200 objects and items from Africa, different tribe of Africa, who are related to turtle, and we wanna display them. And yeah, here I am just teaching a folk from Guinea-Bissau for turtle biometrics. This is one part of our collection. And this is the tool from Burkina Faso, who are just interesting object. International recognition, I have to say, since I started in 1992, yeah, December 1992, to get really involved in conservation. Since then, I was banging really my head to the wall to try to explain and inspire a huge movement for African turtle conservation. But I start last year in 2019 to have the feeling somehow along the way my voice has been heard. We get in 1 year 2 important major awards: the National Geographic Buffett Award for Leadership in Conservation in Africa in June 2009, and the Tusk Award for Conservation in Africa in November 2009, presented by the Prince William, he received us at his house in London, and congratulate us and wanted to know more about my project and all these things. That was just an amazing moment. National Geographic also gave us the opportunity to be in the spotlight of conservation. I have always the feeling that turtle and tortoise are totally overlooked, and they need to be treated as equal as a African megafauna, like other species, elephant or lion or something like that. And one is, in this slide, you have one of my mentor, the picture of one of my mentor, Baba Jum. I told you this is the man who, I remember one time I was talking to him and say, I was thinking the main threat is population overpopulation are the main threat for conservation. And he looked at me and say, Thomas, you know, when you educate people, they are not willing, particularly women, they are not willing to have so many babies. And that is something who can address overpopulation in Africa. That's why you need to consider education as first, who can help this issue too. And one of his quote is, I'm gonna read it to you now, is, in the hand, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand. And we will understand only what we have been taught. Baba Jum, 1968. That was one of his quotes. He said in the New Delhi conference, New Delhi conference in India, IUCN conference. And this picture is one of a picture I always like to show to people. That is the common ancestor to all the turtle who was found in South Africa in the Permian period. You can see how this fossil is so beautiful, at least for me. And that is, if right now we can say Africa with like Australopithecus, like for humankind, we can say this is where the story of humankind began with Lucy, the fossil who was found in Ethiopia, somewhere, yeah, in Ethiopia. It's also correct to say Africa is the place where the story of all the turtle, the testudine, begin with Otonosaurus africanus you have in this picture. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thanks, Thomas, for your awesome talk. It was amazing, the variety in size and shape and everything in all of these different species. It's just incredible to see it. The one thing that I found really fascinating is that, for me, I understand the philosophy of having a hard shell for protection. And obviously there's benefits to the shell, but there's sort of negatives in that it makes the tortoise very slow to be able to move around and whatever. But these other ones with a soft shell, does it actually offer them some sort of protection from predators having a soft shell? I just found it quite interesting. If you could comment on that.
Yeah, in fact, soft shell are more for can move really fast, more faster than land tortoise. So I think in evolution, turtle decided protection is more important than going fast. This is a choice they make in evolution, and decided to go in other way, where they highlight protection with their shell, where their rib cage, because the shell is the rib cage, and put all their organs inside. So the one turtle like the soft shell who don't evolve, I can say, really too much that way, they are really fast in terms of moving. And when you surprise them on inland, you can see how fast they can move, really. So then that is a good strategy, a successful strategy of evolution. Thank you.
Thomas, thank you for a most fascinating insight. I knew nothing about turtles until tonight. The last slide showed that fossil in South Africa, which was found in South Africa, right? Where is it kept? Is it, have you got it in your institute?
No.
What city?
The fossil itself is somewhere in Pretoria, in the museum, some kind of museum in Pretoria. I don't know the exact location. The fossil was found in some kind of mining area. in South Africa and conserved in the Museum of Natural History, I guess, in Pretoria. And after that, what's happened is a biologist, American paleontologist named Tyler Lyson from the Smithsonian Institution come to South Africa expressly to work for at least more than 1 year about the characteristic of these fossil. And this is where they figure out this is the ancestor of all the turtle. But happened in 260 million years ago. That is not, so South Africa wasn't like that in that period. That was in the bigger pictures, like that was the area, roughly the bigger mega continent we have before the continent started to split.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
It's a pity we don't have Pippa Horrif on tonight, because Pippa works in paleontology and on the West Coast Fossil Park. And she would have answered where that fossil is. I don't believe it's in the museum in Pretoria, which is mainly hominid fossils. It's probably in either the Cape Town Museum or the Bernard Price Institute in Johannesburg.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm sure is the fossil never leaves South Africa. The fossil were found in South Africa, and I'm pretty sure is still in South Africa. But the location, maybe we need to figure out about the museum who hold the fossil.
Thomas, bonsoir et merci beaucoup pour votre présentation. I have one question. What is the total number of terrapins, turtles, and tortoises on the African continent known at this point in time?
Okay. In Africa, you have roughly around 45 extant species recognized, 33 to 45, depend, because taxonomy is going up and down sometimes. I can say roughly 45 extant species. And for the sea turtle, you have only 6 species of sea turtle. The rest, the majority of the, 80% of the turtle you can find in Africa are freshwater turtle, like the genus Pelucias, Pelumedusa, and also the soft shell. They are strictly continental freshwater turtle. And in the middle, you have the tortoise. South Africa is well known as the most high diversity of tortoise in Africa. And also this is where you can find the homopus species, who are the smallest turtle in the planet, tortoise, like the land version of the Chelonia. So that's mainly you find most freshwater turtle, and after that you find terrestrial species, and sea turtle are known has been just 6 species. Thank you very much. Merci. You're welcome.
I was just wondering, you talked about this rare giant turtle found in the River Nile, but is there a similar species found in the Congo River?
Yeah.
Is there another giant soft-shelled terrapin?
It's the same. It's the same family. They belong all to the Triocinidae family, who are huge soft-shelled turtle. But the one we find in one my colleague Luca Luceli found in South Sudan is mostly bigger. So 60 centimeter is just a big animal, and even one person have difficulty to just handle it itself. And this is related to the one we find in Congo. In Congo, we can mostly find the one who live in the Gabon and in all the area of the Congo basin, who are similar to him, but not really the same species, just similar.
Yeah, I'm interested in the education and conservation aspect, and if you are seeing anything in actual trade out of West Africa for tortoises and turtles and terrapins, especially into the Asian market, the trafficking of any of these species. That was my one question. And my second is there any move from your organization, or will be, to strengthen the legislation for these species, both within West Africa, sort of as a regional thing, and then we need to look at a continental strengthening of our legislation?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the last question. Is the way sometimes we operate to save one species, you have grassroots collaboration you can promote through different projects you can implement in the field. But sometimes, most of the time, you cannot get the output you want in terms of conservation, the impact you want overnight. Everything is so slow, particularly in Africa, to take effect. In some cases, depend for the cases. I'm going to give you an example. For Kinixis omeana, Homshinsbach, we believe that we need to work on policy, like legislation, international legislation, CITES, for instance, because since today, these African forest turtles has been collected for the pet trade in the really industrial scale. The reason of that is because the species once they imported the species from Africa to United States, people, what's happened is when they died after stress or something like that, after a while, people are eager to go back in the animal dealer and buy another one. And so then the need of importing wild-caught specimen is still here. And that is really dramatic. And if we don't stop this trade from Africa to US or UE, European Union country, is gonna be really the extinction, the imminent extinction of this species. It's not the same when you are talking about sulcata tortoise. Sulcata tortoise are now not anymore imported in the US, but they do so well in captivity, then US don't need any more imported specimen, because the sulcata they already import are spreading like crazy. They are almost invasive species now. So to answer your question about the policy is important, but need to be targeted in order to be efficient to the case of different species, the need of different species.
And good to see you again, Thomas. It's Anne Rowbury from British Chelonia Group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great to see you again. And thank you very much for the talk. What I really am, just one short question. If you were given a small amount of money, which area would you want to target it to? Would it be a particular species? Would it be education? Might be a difficult thing, or would it be into the building of your center?
Yeah, that is a tough question, because for me right now, building the African Chilean Institute is the most important things in order to be able to give a response, have a base, or give a response to all the challenge, and also being able to do capacity building because this year we just found out we are going to be able to organize in the first time the African Scholarship Program, who are going to bring wildlife professional and other students from West Africa to Senegal and teach them at least for 10 days, give them the basic of how you can implement turtle conservation program, how we can do survey, how give them also field experience in order for them when they go back to their country to be able to do something similar to what they see we are doing in Africa. That is the most important things we always put money on. And also one other critical part where we want to focus on is the status of try to enhance the conservation status of the Kenixis omeyana, who are the home Shingeback tortoise in in the forests of West Africa. That is the two things usually who are critical.
Tomas, I wanted to say thank you for the presentation. It was a really insightful look for me at the difference between conservation and education that you've done over your lifetime. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that because where I'm calling from is California in the United States. And I have worked with turtle and tortoise rescue. In large part, we do have a significant population of sulcata here. And while, as you mentioned, we no longer have sulcatas being imported from Africa, they're, you know, every fourth person is breeding them in their backyard. So I would love to hear about how you determine what is more important for you to focus on at that point in time. Whether you're focused on conservation, are you focused on education? Do you feel that they go hand in hand? Because yeah, we got to do something about all these sulcatas. Here in California, and actually throughout the United States, COVID has actually slowed down the spread of hatchling sulcatas because of the all of the reptile shows that typically will travel around the country. And at any time in California, we can have this huge influx of hatchlings. And the breeders, you know, leave. They go back to breed more and, you know, return. So every year I wind up with adults in quantity, as well as a variety of species of, you know, people who are making these purchases without having a background of information and not realizing just how large and how destructive they can be. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking for resources and how to help in my particular industry and the ones that I am dealing with here on the United States side of the sulcata population. Okay. Any insights for me?
Yeah, in fact, I have to say sulcata, the sulcata, for this species, really the situation is dire, what's happening in the US, because I think people was just wanted to breed them in order to sell them so much. And I think something has been done in order to educate people. They can understand these animals are gonna get really big and they are destructive for a garden. If you have a backyard with nice lawn, is not having a sulcata around is not a good idea. And education have a key role to do in this strategy, but also finding a policy who can just say, okay, we need to stop reproducing them. Before you are able to reproduce sulcata tortoise in captivity, you need to have a license or something like that. So then they can regulate the baby sulcata, because this is totally out of hands if they don't stop breeding them. Because I just take the case of Arizona, where the older desert area, or California, Arizona, and all the desert area in US, I saw them really being released by people in the wild and remain in the wild in the same area than gophers. In terms of what type of disease they can give to native population is really not good at all. And I think you have policy can do something in order to regulate the population. Also, people was telling me one time when I was visiting California, saying, "Okay, Tomas, we wanted to send you some sulcata tortoise in back to Africa," but that is not something possible right now because we don't want this type of sulcata because we don't know their origin. Their range is so big in Africa. From where I live to Ethiopia, you have thousands and thousands of miles. And recent genetic study have shown they are not the same. They are the same species, but they are not the same population. So in the taxonomic way, that is not suitable to, if you don't know the origin of the animals, you need to cause more damage by releasing them back in the wild than letting just nature follow his own way. Before we release sulcata tortoise, before we decided to import sulcata specimen from the US, we need to be sure for the genetic status and the sanitary status of these animals, because you have so many different other diseases who can be transmitted when they come back to Africa. So to be sure to do the right decision, the right things we decided is not good things to import, to let sulcata come back to the continent where they belong. That is sad for me because that is so exciting to be able to say, yes, we can get your sulcata back in Africa. And that is so exciting. I would love to do that, don't believe me. But that is not really if you want to impact conservation, that is not the reality, how the things need to be going. I'm sorry, this is the reality in this case of sulcata. And we have also as an alternative. We are working here to preserve the habitat, like in Senegal. Now we are in the project where we want to just go buy land, like a big surface of land where you have native sulcata tortoise over there and protect them in the way where they can, their population can increase and monitor them and associate also other animals like antelope inside and wild antelope and other stuff. And you have so many different strategies, but the important thing is nothing are going to happen overnight. We always need to be patient and do things in the right way and put the right step. Thank you.
What is the important for you if you think about conservation of turtle and tortoise? If you think about the next years.
Okay. For next year, this year we could not go far in terms of building the permanent facility for the African Chelonian Institute, sees in Gazobil, because COVID hit so hard, and we cannot just deal with COVID. All the activity shut down, field work and everything. Next year, I hope the COVID outbreak is going to slow down significantly, and we will be able to put the first step of, I think our plan is to build the African Chelonian Institute as a permanent facility for 3 years, if we can fundraise, of course, for this purpose. But in the same time, in the same time, we are going to continue to do field work. We was not able to do much field work over there. Field work in Kedugu. My colleagues, Person McGovern, is dealing with a soft shell project in Kedugu. Is going to be able to function in Kedugu. And also, I'm going to continue to work in Cote d'Ivoire and DRC for the Kinixis omeana, the forest finishback tortoise, and do survey for the smallest species of freshwater terrapin on Africa, Pelucias nanus in the DRC. I need to do population census and habitat sampling for these species. And in Senegal, we are going to continue our work for education, and we are going to continue also to do our traditional work in Lac de Guerre, in the Tortoise Wildlife Refuge, and also in Collie Alpha, where we reintroduce sulcata tortoise. That is the main plan.